I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome. Y'all can't see me. I could be doing anything back there. Y'all have no idea what I'm doing today.
And you don't want to know.
I kind of missed this from the old days, man, when I could just make fun of people, stick my tongue out.
Yeah, days of the old, it was text only.
That's right, yeah. Well, I remember back when your co-host used to do text only.
Yeah, like on a Yahoo Messenger type of thing.
Yes. He was insane, by the way. We're talking about Jeffrey Pritchard, who hosts Church of Mavis. No, he started out doing, he interviewed some pretty big names in chat text. And I remember when he asked me to come do the show, and I was like, dude, you want me to text? I said, these poor people ain't going to have a freaking idea what I'm saying. I'm like, Lord, I can barely read my own text. And I said, I'll give it a try. So I told him, I said, Jeffrey, just come on the network with me. Let's just try you out. He's been with us now. He's the oldest host left besides myself.
14 years.
Yeah, I said, let me bring you on, and boom, he's been there ever since. He's a good host, and he's not one of the troublemaking hosts either that we got like other hosts on that.
He and I get into enough trouble on our own without having to do it on air.
Padawan learners that we got on the network, and of course we have Leah down there who's all smiling and stuff. Look at her, she is bad. Gray comes to her house, and so I'm on the phone with her today. Gray comes to visit her. She's like bitch slaps to Gray, puts him in a little box, and says, "Come back when I'm not busy." I'm like, oh my God, yes, Miss Leah, we love you, Miss Leah. That's like, we love you. Don't put us in a box. But welcome everybody tonight. What's that, Kimmy? You can come in. We are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Facebooks, 1 Roku, and YouTube. 2 YouTube pages. You can find us on the UFO Undercover page. No, not the UFO Undercover. I apologize. The UFO Paranormal Radio Network page. And you can look for us for the UFO Extraterrestrials and Gods, but you're never going to find it. I can't even find it. I know the damn thing's there. It's only got like 400 followers on it. And when you type in those many search words, it can put all kind of shit. So you kind of
everything but the channel. Like
yes.
every other video but the channel. Like videos, they don't have anything to do with your channel.
No, they don't. And everything comes up. You're right. See, at least with UFO Paranormal, when I type it, it comes right up. But it's been around for a little while.
Yeah, but it's also unique enough. I mean, UFO and gods. There's so many, God videos and UFO videos. You put the two together, and you get millions of, searches. And I guess some of those people, maybe on YouTube, I don't know. You can tell me, Joe. Aren't you able to pay them certain money so your name gets higher on the list? So
you can get paid. You can either get enough followers, or you get enough listeners, or you can pay to get boosted. You can do that on Google and other places. I mean, we're boosted on a few places like Google. I mean, we pay for advertisement on Google, so, and it helps. I mean, the shows that are boosted on Google, you get an extra 100, 200, 300,000 listens because Google puts them at the top of the page. And a lot of times I notice people just go down the page, click whatever 5 or 7, 8 shows, whatever's there, they just kind of click through them. Because Google don't give us on what the listening time they have there is. They just show us to click as somebody goes through, and I'm pretty sure they're just clicking through until they find one they like. So it doesn't give us an average listen time like other places. But I mean, like on Roku, our average listen time is almost 2 hours. So I mean, that's pretty good, especially in video, especially with some of the scary looking ass hosts we have on this network, man.
Yeah.
I'm amazed anybody ever comes and watches me on TV. I'm like, wow, y'all really watch me on TV? How that is
they're more afraid of me burning a hole in their shirt with this laser.
Y'all know that's why we brought Leah on, right? So y'all wouldn't be scared all the time. we want, besides she's really good at talking about UFOs and stuff, but we need somebody that didn't scare all the poor little people off. Jimmy, no, that's Friday night. That's yes. You can come see us. It's the 3 of us plus the 2 Seans.
Yeah, it's like Sean and Sean in the morning radio show, except it's at night.
Yes, so you catch. Well, Sean and Sean follow each other on Sunday, so
yes,
combination, and they come and hang out with us on Saturday, and then on Sunday, and then Leah and Jay hangs out with us as well. No,
we've got a couple of good upcoming shows on Sunday. You all have to go check them out. I'm going to try it too anyway if I remember.
Yes, we're in and don't forget, people. I was looking for hosting shows, and Raylene, is that correct? So, you mean these shows? Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Now you can get an invite to News and the Flip Side. This particular show, you actually have to be a friend of mine or a guest I really like. I'm sorry, you can't get on this show otherwise. No. I mean, it's just. I mean, as far as being a guest, we've been guests on all the time, but really, it's usually guests that we're really personally interested in. That we're not. Let me put it this way. We don't do this show so much for what the audience wants to hear is what we want to hear. And usually what we want to hear is what the audience wants to hear. So we're very lucky with that. And but to come guest host here, you have to either be a host on the network or a friend of mine. Yes. Or somebody that we've worked with in the past. One of the 3.
It also doesn't hurt to have a little bit of cash too.
Yeah. You can always make a donation. That could always help you out. But Friday night is different. Friday night, we invite everybody to come by, stop by. You can get an audience. You can get an audience if you're really good at get questions or answers and stuff like that. Any of the hosts can invite you into the chat. So, yes. So any of the hosts can kick you out as well too. But I'm just saying, we don't mind. I mean, the News on the Flip Side is really a show that's based on the audience and whatever currently is going on. And right now, currently going on, of course, is politics. And Trump and Biden doing whatever stupid shit they're doing.
Which actually sometimes can be scarier than UFOs and Bigfoot. So,
but really, Raylene, the show tonight is really more about why are we here? I mean, why are humans here? Okay, now there's lots of ways that we could have came here. We know that. I mean, when you look at panspermia, which is the number one theory is panspermia. That's who brought us in. That's who says that's how it says we got here. So basically, if you look at the building, if you look at asteroids and meteors and comets that are coming to our planet, they carry the building blocks of life. Well, that crashed in the primordial soup.
This is now actual scientific fact that we know these bacteria and extremophiles is really what they are. I mean, we can be considered extremophiles too because we're living in an environment we're not really designed for. but they do exist. They can persist in space for millions of years, which you would need if you were sending a rock with life on it to another rock without life. It's going to be millions or billions of years before it gets there.
It's so I mean, and well, no, there's life. I mean, not life. I mean, there's rocks all over our solar system that have the building blocks of life in it now. And God knows what's on some of these planets that have.
They're finding it in our local neighborhood. Often the asteroid belt has. Even though they know it's in there, they know there's some on Mars, but I don't think they've discovered the building blocks of life on the moon.
I haven't heard they have, but I do have heard recently that they think it's on several moons around Saturn and Jupiter, including the ones that they think are going to have atmospheres and can support life.
Enceladus, Europa, and Io are some of the top three.
This is what's weird. So we're assuming that we're the oldest life in this in the solar system. But we may find out that there's life on Io or Europa or somewhere else that's older than we are, living on the ground or living on the water, more likely living under the ice caps. And we know we've seen things now on 2 different occasions. NASA has gotten pictures of something underneath the ice. So the first time they landed that stupid probe that it was supposed to melt through and died. I don't know what happened to it. But they got a picture. So about 100 yards from where it landed, you could see this just beautiful blue ice sheet, and you knew there was something underneath it. So you knew there was some kind of liquid underneath it. So you see the video. As the video goes on, you see something that looks black. I'd say the size of at least a gray whale just come cruising by. Now you couldn't tell if it was life or something. It could have been, I don't know, if it was here, or if it was a log or something. Maybe some kind of floating rock.
Well, if it's a log, that's still life, even if it's a dead log.
Yeah, but I'm thinking. So we're going to say that none of that happened. We're going to say maybe the only other thing it could have been was maybe a rock that's density is lighter than the water that's floated up to the top.
If it's water, it could be another substance where a rock would float.
Well, they're pretty sure on the 2 of the ice caps it's liquid water. It's not liquid helium or nitrogen or anything. Well, because there's a lot of things that can be liquidized.
They're guessing.
So when you go to certain planets and you see liquid, it doesn't mean it's water. It could be lots of different things.
I mean, methane, ammonia.
There's a lot of things that can be
sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid.
So here's panspermia. So this is what gets to me about panspermia and dumb. Okay, we should have done panspermia last. We did it first. So this is what you look at it like this. This shit is everywhere in the known galaxy. And we're just, as in the last 4 billion years. No. Remember, our little solar system is only 4.5 billion years old. That's it. The galaxy is 14 billion years old.
No. The universe is 14 billion. Our galaxy is 7 or 8, I think, million years old.
So our galaxy, I think, is twice our age as we are. It's 10.5 billion. I'd have to look it up to be sure. Well, no, the deepest part of the universe is 13.895 years. Okay?
Yeah, pushing 14 billion years.
Use my language, but it's 14 billion years is what it is. So coming forward to where we live today is I think our galaxy formed 8 to 10 billion years. We have to look
something on that 7 or 8 billion or 8 to 10, somewhere in there.
Basically twice the age of our solar system, which means the building blocks of life have been floating around out there for 7 billion years, because it's only been 1 billion years that we've had life on this planet. So 7 billion years is, you don't think it's something somewhere didn't catch, like it caught here? Come on, give me a break, people. You could have life out there conceivably died, hit the evolutionary peak, died, left, and came back again. For that matter, we could be doing it. We don't even know, because there does seem to have been life here before us.
Well, check this out. There is evidence on our planet of a more advanced civilization. There's no reason to say it wasn't us. So perhaps maybe 200,000, 400,000 years ago, we were highly technologically advanced, and maybe we started a galactic world war, got our asses handed to us, and that's the reason why we're here. This is
we need to ask Leah.
Germany being coddled in their little area.
Well, we're gonna have to ask Leah, because you and I are the past moving forward. She's the forward going back.
I don't know if you guys want to hear what I have to say about it.
Spit it out, girl. We ain't scared. Get it out there.
So I somewhat believe in the simulation theory. I don't know the ins and outs of the simulation theory, but I feel like in my own life, personally, that I've had like out of body experiences, and I've had I've had experiences that lead me to believe that it's kind of the universe creating itself as we go. Like the egg theory. If I think that's like a simulation versus egg theory. But I guess in my opinion, there is a beginning, therefore there must be a new, right? So that also leads me into the whole creationism and there being a higher power, like a God that created everything too. But it just seems so technological, like so based on this evolutionary process that we're going through as technology advances that, eventually, we're going to get to a point where, I don't know, I feel like it'll all come full circle. But the simulation theory and egg theory are kind of where my brain goes to.
Yeah, that's a fairly recent one. I've always kind of felt more like, what if we are an experiment and we're inside of a petri dish sort of situation? Like there really is no universe, and if we were to adventure out, there's only like maybe the Oort cloud is the container we're in, and that's as far as we can get. And if you go outside of that atmosphere would probably likely kill you. I don't know, but I felt that's kind of, if some advanced race or races built us, made us, perhaps it's only so they can observe and not allow us to, become fully realized individuals. At some point, the experiment will be over, and they'll destroy the petri dish along with all of us. So
I do feel like it is an experiment. Like there's something going on. We're being observed. I mean, we're being monitored, if you want to put it that way. And I also think it has something to do with our subconscious and our dream state. I think that if you're able to tap into those things, that you could literally traverse different dimensions or different universes, if you want to put it that way, or different, realities, different timelines. And it's not just what meets the eye. Like, as a matter of fact, what you think you're looking at may not even be what your brain is registering it to be. That might sound like a bit of psychosis, but, you have to say those things to the people that understand. If you were to go out talking like that to just anyone, they'd be like, like, this person needs to get
the guys with the butterfly nets. We found another one.
Well, see, all of that stuff is fine, but somewhere along the line, there has to be an anchor, because we always pop back to here. So even though we know that multiple dimensions exist, and a lot of us probably can cross multiple dimensions, and other things can cross this way, but the problem is we have, whatever we're doing, we always pop back to here. So there's something that anchors us to this reality. So I guess if you ever really want to really travel like the Sliders people do, you'd have to figure out.
This is the truth. This is real. This is
But everything is real.
Well, reality is only that what your perceptions perceive. So, if, the old saying, if it smells like it, tastes like it, smooshes like it when you step on it, it must be that. So, how are we to determine, even if this is digital reality, how are we, how will you tell? I mean, you can touch things and they make noise, and it's extremely well done if this is a digital reality.
Well, I wouldn't quite say digital, but organic.
Yeah.
I think over time we've kind of learned to live with our environment, right? We've adapted to our environment, and in a way, because of that, we've taken advantage of that, and so our environment has had to learn to adapt to us as well. And so we're kind of in this symbiotic relationship with our atmosphere, the world around us. And I think sometimes I wonder, what really is the reality of everything, because we're taught certain things in school, and then, certain people learn later that those things in, history is written by the victor, and it's not always the way it,
That's
turned
very
out.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I personally believe that there is, a lot more going on, and it has to do with, energies, the energies that we emit, the energies that we allow that we surround ourselves with, and that we allow to affect us on a personal level. Um, and that's on a small scale and a big grand scale too. And so, we're all able to take our own paths in life. Some people are lucky enough to have their lives handed to them, or they just made all the right decisions and they were able to take advantage of certain opportunities that are only offered to them versus other people. But we're all sharing the same world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the same experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the way I like to look at it is we're all in the same boat, right? And the boat's sinking really fast, like the Titanic.
Yeah.
And there's different levels on the boat. There's, there's the first class, second class, there's the stowaways. But we're all kind of experiencing the sinking of the ship at the same time.
Y'all don't worry. JoJo's on an aircraft carrier. I'll come get y'all's asses. So y'all just be chill. Y'all just chill for a little while. There ain't nobody getting me on those
That's
spunky
how it
boats.
feels to me. That's my never-ending impending doom feeling that I have, that we're on this sinking ship, But there's got to be a light at the end of the tunnel still. There's got to be
but it don't necessarily have to be here. I mean, the light doesn't necessarily have to be here. It can be somewhere else. But I mean, the amount of time we spend on this planet is finite. So if you're really, really, really greatly lucky, you might make it to 100. Most people are going to make it between 60 and 80.
So,
and
yeah.
You know how they say our organs in our body kind of match up to where the planets are in our own solar system? And so I think about it that way. It's like Russian dolls. You have you have the universe, and you have the galaxy, and then you have, our solar system, and then you have our planet Earth, and it's all, you have our own organ systems. And when I say we're all in this sinking ship together, who's to say that sinking ship isn't our own personal body that's slowly deteriorating due to the world deteriorating around us because of the toxins and the poisons in the atmosphere and stuff like that we're all just living through on a daily basis.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what's limiting our existence. The most ancient texts speak of beings who live hundreds and even thousands of years. I mean, even like Enoch and Lamech and Noah, all like that whole line. They slowly only live a shorter amount of time, and then in the Bible it actually says that let's limit his lifespan to 120 years. So if we believe that to be genetic intervention, someone turned a button off in our genes saying they can't live beyond this point. And if we could unlock that key, boom.
Time itself could have possibly shifted as well. Like if it's easy enough to say that like the world is tilting on its axis, which will throw off, the tides or whatever. I feel like time could also be altered on a grand scale to kind of slow us all down or speed us all up. And it's not like it's nothing we have control over. It's got to be something bigger than us.
That's a possibility. A lot of people have said about the Sumerian kings list, which has some guys living 30 and 40,000 years of age, or ruling for like that long. Who's to say that we got their math wrong? If we got that wrong, we could be up by thousands of years. But then we're also talking about the educational sector, and they're already lying to us about other stuff. And when we find things that contradict what they say is fact, they get pretty violent about it.
Well, sometimes I wonder, okay, if you were to take away all the clocks, all the newspapers, all the calendars, and we kind of like went back to the Stone Ages where all we had was the sun to keep track of the time and how many days went by and stuff like that. We were having to etch it out on a wall, like in tally marks, how many days are passing.
Yeah, we'd have to do that. Sun calendars and sun hour and sundials definitely would need to be reinvented.
Well, I mean, who's to say what day it really is? You know, who's to say that today's actually April 10th, 2024, if it wasn't for the devices that we have that are telling us it's that date?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Jews use a calendar completely foreign to the Julian calendar that we use, or the Julian. Is it the Julian calendar? Julian calendar? I can't remember which, but the calendar we use is up to 2024 years, not counting the BCE eras. But the Jewish calendar is only like 59 or going on 6,000 years, and they say that that's the exact time span of human race is 6,000 years. So, and they go by the moon as far as calculating their calendar.
Well, I was actually thinking about that earlier today, is the fact that if we didn't have these devices to look on to say, oh, what time is it? What's the date today? How, you know, I feel like that's one of the things that contributes to our, you know, I mean, of course, everyone's going to age and die eventually, but I feel like that's part of our programming to keep us on this system of life and death. Like, you know, we all have to have a birthday. We all have to know what time to be to work. We all have to know, you know, when to pay our bills and stuff like that. But if all of that stuff was removed, wouldn't you feel as though you were just an eternal being?
Well, I would certainly. One thing I would go exploring. I mean, if we had no need for money and, you know, travel was, you know, we had unlimited power, we didn't have to pay for our power anymore. I mean, the reason why most of this country is in debt is because most of the utilities we need, the government's put a meter on it, and most of us can't afford it anymore. But if we could get to the point where the energy was no big deal, I'm going to check out the whole planet. I mean, think of all the places you could go.
I believe that technology already exists, but there's people in power who refuse to let us have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know,
they'll lose control.
And they'll basically, yes. I mean, I believe that technology existed a long time ago, you know.
It may have actually been on this planet, some of the technologies that we hope for and are, you know, alleged to have in dark projects behind the scenes. It's a great thing, but there's still the fact that why are we on this particular planet, A, and B, going back to the thing where we talked about where it's like, you know, out-of-body experience, but you anchor back to here. Maybe again, maybe this is a prison or some sort of you know, detention zone where we can't harm the rest of the universe for a while.
Tell me why we still go off of, like, basically it's 2024, right? What happened 2024 years ago? What was the significant thing that was the line in the sand that said, okay, this is when we're going to start, you know, things. What in 2024 years ago?
That's a good one.
Yeah. That's a point.
I mean, maybe the simple fact of the change of the calendar from 1 BCE to 1 CE. Do you think those people would have panicked like we did in the 1999 thing?
Before it was CE, it used to be AD.
Yeah.
Meaning after death. After death of who? Right?
Well,
so there's something significant, in my opinion, about the story of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And I feel like it has something to do with literally every human being on the planet.
Well, most scientists who believe in the Jesus theory speculate that he was born somewhere between like 4 and 8 BCE, and then died somewhere around 30 to 33 CE, or before Christian epic, or before Common Era, and CE is Christian epic or Common Era, depending on which way you want to go. So that's a 37-year time span where significant history began. But is it all true? We know some of it is, but so many years removed from that past, those stories have been changed. Some of those stories have actually been deleted and hidden from the Bible.
Oh yeah, and I don't believe that we've ever been taught the true story.
Oh no, 100%, absolutely not. We have not. I agree with that, and I guarantee you, 100% also, the Vatican has the whole story locked up in their vaults, in their little secret library somewhere.
Well, I don't know the actuality. I'm just as in the dark as everyone else, but I go through my own issues where I feel like I know.
Then, but I feel like I should, and it gets me into trouble. Because maybe that's not necessarily the truth. I'm in a bright spot right now. I'm going to turn my car around. I got the sun setting on me. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I feel like that story is significant. It's a significant story in human history, or else we wouldn't still be based.
Yeah.
What happened?
Based on.
Yeah, whether it's fictional or truth, it's a significant story. I mean, most of those stories are significant, and I always say the Bible's not a bad book. It just strictly seems to me a morality play. But we have to sift through it and see how much of it is truth and fact, and I'll bet you some of it is. A guy being swallowed by a whale and surviving however many days in the belly of the whale, and then being coughed up on the beach days later. It's kind of, even I know how big a whale is. It seems very far-fetched of a situation to me. And Ancient Aliens people would have you believe he stepped into a submarine. We need to get back to that time travel, and find out how that story played out.
Maybe he was just hanging out in his mouth for a couple of days.
Or maybe hanging on to like that little dangly thing at the back of the throat, and trying to not get swallowed.
I mean, he had to be some way he was getting oxygen, so
but still though, it's kind of for that time. And I mean, think about even the Sumerian myth, the Enuma Elish. I mean, I talk about this all the time. You've got the first written language, and of course before that you have to be able to speak it, but to be able to read it as well. They have this book, the Enuma Elish, which is basically like Star Wars, but nobody knows how to read it. But why do you invent language and then write Star Wars down?
Sometimes I like to think that, all the pictures that were written or drawn about, the people of the Bible were kind of put there to not really throw us off course, but to put our brains in a certain historical time frame. But what if it was like Star Wars? What if it was an intergalactic war going on?
The Vedas and the Devas texts of India say that. I mean, they had laser battles in the air, terrible tridents that if the god, was it Shiva, I believe, threw it to the earth, it would destroy an entire city in a ball of fire. I mean, they're talking about laser weapons and nuclear explosions. And then they also go on to, after the explosions, describe the effects on the people near the regions that were exploded. Fingernails fell out, hair fell out, tumors blotches on the skin and tumors and death. The exact sicknesses that happen after radiation sicknesses.
So the technology was there.
The technology was there.
Yeah. And I see that's another reason that makes me think it is some type of, they're monitoring us, and they have been for a really long time to see, kind of what we're capable of. If we start out at nothing, one human being, maybe two on the planet, what would it turn into if they had, if they had to start from nothing, just their elements around them? Would they think of tools to make to, how would they survive the elements, and here we are, who knows how long later, and this is what we've come up with.
Well, we couldn't have been just two of us. We know that.
Yeah.
So
And
we also know that
fairly healthy population. You can't just do it with Adam and Eve.
and plus we do know now that we came up and sprouted around on the planet at different places around the same time. So now they don't think the out of Africa theory is the thing anymore.
There's strong evidence for not only out of Africa but out of Mesopotamia, out of Australia, and out of ancient Japan. But also just the fact that there are Egyptian ruins in Australia. Fairly certain of those. I've seen the pictures. They're pretty old. They're like, the earlier languages of Egypt, but they're there. How did they get there? The land masses weren't together, so we're not as primitive as our ancestors aren't as primitive as most scholars would have us all believe.
Well, we found out that
interactive contact with each other.
We found out that 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, our ancestors were pretty good boat builders, and they were getting around the planet. And more than likely, whatever was in between Africa and South America sank somewhere along the line. It looks like part of them went to Africa or to the Middle East, and part of them went to South America, because there's too many commonalities amongst the Egyptians and a lot of the other races in South America, especially when it comes to building big, whopping, ancient, massive cities. I mean, let's not forget, people. The Egyptians started doing it much earlier than anybody else, except for the Sumerians, and that's an argument who started first.
Yeah, but it even goes further back than that. There's strong evidence to suggest it's always been thought that Homo sapiens killed the other races. Heidelbergensis and Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon and those other 4 or 5 species we live with. But there's strong evidence that there are communities where Homo sapiens, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, there's like 5 or 6 other different Homo species that were more caveman-like than our faces are. That not only did they live together, they interbred together and fought against other interbreeding tribes together, and eventually were not necessarily killed off of existence, but bred
out of existence. That's a current theory. It says we bred them out of existence.
So one of my situations that I personally have is my dreams. Okay, I talk about them a lot. I've got a lot of otherworldly dreams. I'll put them that way. And I think that a lot of theories are true, to be honest. I think there's a power of belief, and if you believe in something, it means it's true. Like if you truly believe in something, it's real. And so you can't really, I mean, unless it's literally not. I mean, so I mean, it's that's where I think a lot of wars come into play, because there's religions out there that say, no, your religion is false, mine is true, things like that. But my dreams, I mix up with my memories. And one of the dreams that I had, is basically a dark gray being merging into I was looking at in first person, it was like looking out of my own eyes, and standing in front of me was a being that went into me. I don't know how else to say it. But sometimes I wonder if that being is experiencing this life through my eyes now, in a way. So like, what if that is also a theory, that there's like actual aliens, I guess, that are hidden within people that, look like normal everyday people, but they're old enough and strong enough to survive outside of this world, but not in this world unless they're like in this type of body. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly. It's funny you say that. I feel that on a different aspect. We said earlier that we're being observed by aliens. We're being observed by them. But what are they observing? Are they observing our behavior? Are they watching us for entertainment? Are they watching us for scientific experiments? I think all of those. But I've always felt that we were also like, I don't know if they were seeing through our eyes, like you suspect, but watching our lives either through closed circuit television, kind of like that show, the movie with that comedian Jim Carrey. I think it's called 23 or Adam 23. Like his life has been on TV his whole life, 24/7, 365, and he doesn't know he's on camera until he like somehow bumps into the camera crew, and then he realizes that he's like everyone knows everything about him. So I felt since a little kid like someone's always been watching what I do, not like on Earth, but like from a
like
zenith.
every little thing, like every decision you've ever made, right?
Yeah, exactly
and
right.
It's led you to where you're at now.
Yeah.
So I have friends that would tell me that it would be your higher self. People that are into like esoteric beliefs or new age stuff, that there's a higher self and a lower self. And your higher self is like your conscious that's driving you or guiding you to make consciously good decisions. And like the
or
right
notoriously bad ones, like in my case.
And so I don't know. These are literally some of my daily. It's like my daily life. I go. This is what my conundrum is. I can't. I have a hard time not thinking about this kind of stuff because I feel like these are the important questions to ask. But then I get thrown off guard by normal everyday decisions I have to make, like what am I going to eat today, or what am I going to do for my future, to secure a happy life for myself or my child. Little things that have to do with your personal daily life, I think accumulate into the whole picture, and it's everyone on like a global scale. And so we kind of have like, I wouldn't say like a hive mind, but I feel like everyone's life in a way, it either interferes or it has some type of connection with everyone else's.
Yeah, it's strange that I mean, I saw The Matrix and I'm like, oh, it's a good movie, and I was watching it from the aspect of a cinematographer, from a filmmaker, and I'm like, I would really like to know how they did those special effects and how those people jump up in the air and then run around the side of the walls and all that. And I was like, this is great. And then people start saying, well, what if that's what reality is? And then I was like, whoa, I've thought I was on a television show since I was a kid anyway. So it's kind of mind-boggling. It's an extra experience, I suppose. But perhaps we're a teaching method. Those aliens are looking through us. Some of these aliens are described as not being very emotional. Some are being described as extremely emotional. So maybe they use us to vent and or control their emotional states. I mean, don't you ever watch a TV sometimes, a TV show or a movie, and at the end you cry or at the end you laugh, right?
Oh yeah, during like in the middle of it, I'll be crying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You bunch of little girls. What am I going to do with y'all, man? Somebody they said, "What makes you cry?" I said, "Nothing."
Oh, come on! Don't tell me at the end of Old Yeller when they had to shoot the dog.
Well, yeah, almost. Where the red fern grows, almost got, but not quite. Didn't quite make it there.
And also probably at the end of the Champ when little Ricky Schroeder loses it.
I'm just mean like that. What can I say? I'm part alien, so.
There's a lot of emotions, right? There's anxiety. There's there's happiness, there's joy, there's love, but there's fear. That's what I think. It all boils down to either love or fear or hope. I think those are the three main factors that lead us to make the decisions that we make. And I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like part of this monitoring process is to see, like, accumulatively as a species or as like earthly realm, what it's going to accumulate out to. Is it going to equate to something of love? Is it going to equate to something of fear? Which leads me back to the whole energies, like the energies that people emit or receive from each other. I really feel like it all kind of boils down to those three main emotions: love, hope, and fear.
Well, not necessarily those three. I mean, I think you nailed that hit the nail on the head. But it's, I think, what if we're an energy farm? You know, there are certain creatures that have been spoken about that feed off of energy. It's usually the stronger ones: fear, anger, hatred. But you know, the other three are also fairly strong. There could be certain species that are either watching us through, like you said, through direct contact through our eyes, or melding with our brains, or watching us through a closed circuit television kind of thing, and siphoning off any emotional energies we give off, whether we get scared or we laugh or we cry.
You know, it might be something simpler. Everybody always wants to make it so complicated. It might have simply been when the humans came here and created the original human species, and the reptilians intervened, because we already know all that. That's pretty much fact these days. And the Greys came in later to make sure they didn't get into a war. It may just be something, you know, we may just be here because. You know what? Basically, humans are a mistake. I hate to say it that way, but so
and through no fault of our own, but
so the human race created us. From whatever they created us with, they created us. We didn't become sentient until the reptilians gave us that little tiny bit of reptilian section that's in our brain. That gave us the spark of sentient. But the Greys came along probably for a couple of reasons. One, to keep them two races from getting to a big fight over the planet, because at this point, the humans had to be pissed that the reptilians just came in and wiped out their entire herd and made them sentient. I mean, that just had to hack them off. I can't see how it didn't upset them greatly. And then the Greys just came in and decided, well, you know what? If we're going to take over, we're going to take over. We're going to be the ones who do the majority of abductions. We
don't know that there wasn't violence. We know for a fact that there are
not here.
The war in heaven and the war between heaven and earth and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but when you but all of that,
there was a battle.
See, humans have a hard time with this. Everything you're talking about there happened 100 million years ago. It's nothing recent. So somewhere in the past, 60, 80, 100 million years ago, when Mars and Earth and Jupiter when Mars and Earth and Venus all went catastrophe, something happened. But that was long ago and far, far away. That's why the Greys here, because they're the galactic policemen. They're the ones who are going to make sure nobody gets into a war, because they will take them out. They're working for the Council and the Light Beings. Nobody's going to buck up against them, not even the Greys and the humans. I mean, not even the reptilians and humans are going to buck up against them. They're going to be like, well, yeah, we already know you can burn us with a thought, so we'll just kind of let that slide. And their technology is far more advanced than the other two. So for them, for the reptilians and the humans now, they're serving as basically as a sit and watch and take a sip role. They still have X amount of people they're allowed to contact, but that's it. The Greys, on the other hand, are contacting people in the major. They're the ones that probably brought the RH negative blood to us. They probably brought all of that stuff because they came in. So you go back to reptilians and the Greys, and the reptilians and humans go back a long ways, way further than the Greys. You don't even see anything written about the Greys until about 4,000 years ago. Not even then, about 20, right before the time of Christ. So about 2,200 years ago, maybe 23.
Exactly. We go back to that topic, right?
Yeah, and if you go back 6,000 years, there were lizard-like idols from Sumeria that are the gods.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Before Christ, the reptilians were worshipped as good people, good beings. It wasn't until after Christ that they became evil. The problem is they're not evil. They're an agrarian society. They didn't start any wars. The human aliens are the aggressors, and the reptilians. I mean, the Greys are just a galactic policemen. That's what they do.
So when you say that,
you can think about it like a squatter's thing. If you came home after a month-long vacation or a year-long vacation to your main home, someone's living there and then has changed your pets and bred them and did you'd be kind of pissed too. You would probably take them out with violence.
But the reason the Greys were sent here is because the humans were about to take out the reptilians were here, which would of course would have started the damn war. So they sent the Greys to stop it, and they did. And now they all got to behave, because now the council decided, well, you know what? They're getting sentient now. We can't just wipe them out and take the planet, can we? Mm-hmm. So that's what actually happened. Somewhere along the line, we became a sentient species. Yes, more than likely, the humans, Greys, and reptilians, we probably share all three of their DNAs.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably pretty simple, too. Like the idea of human life on this planet, it's actually a really beautiful thing if you think about it. Like, we all have what is considered free will, right? And
not all.
With that,
that's kind of an illusion also.
Some of them have free will.
So, free will. I'll put that in loose quotations.
Okay.
Within that aspect, we're able to make these decisions that lead us to wherever we're at in our lives. And, sometimes it turns out really beautiful. For some people, they create the most beautiful, artistic, functional, necessary things for society to progress, or at least even continue. And it's because of us. It's because of human beings that are able to do these things, like with our own bare hands and our brains. I think we were all given an opportunity here to just be, just to like experience our senses: sight, smell, feel, love, sadness, all of it, like to the extreme. Because outside of this reality or outside of this body, would we even have that opportunity to have smell, to have love, to have sadness?
There are some senses we wouldn't have, that's for sure. Like with the light beings, they don't have the senses that we have. They
right.
But they have a different kind of senses that we don't have. So I'm not sure which one's better, because we've never really got to experience that. We don't know who's actually getting the better deal here.
Well, both of those points have been explored in science fiction. In Star Trek, Lieutenant Gary, I can't remember his last name, he gets sort of like godlike powers, and then at some point he begins to see his friends and co-workers as, lesser than him, and things that are just to either be toyed with or destroyed. So, I mean, maybe that's another reason why the Greys have intervened, is that, because of the accidental invention of us through the Greys and the humanoids, or not the Greys and the humanoids, the lizards and the humanoids, perhaps they're being forced to coddle us and get us to a point where we can join the rest of the community. So, I mean, that seems like for me, that seems a more positive outcome. But, then there's also the possibility that there could be a war fought over us and possession for our planet, and we would lose that.
Oh, we would lose for sure. But I don't really think that there's really going to be a war, because from what I understand, this ain't the only planet like ours. And recently, even we found planets like this one that are not inhabited. So that means that there's a lot of planets like this one out there that are inhabited and uninhabited. So I don't think that's the issue as far as why they would get into a fight. Right now, I just know that the humans are pissed at the Greys, because whatever humans were doing here first, it got interrupted by whatever they did. Whatever the Greys decided to give us sentient, the reptilians. See, no one can answer that question but them. Why, when they were up there visiting the Dogon, that they decided to come down off the mountain 15,000 years ago, or 25,000 years ago, or whenever it was, and bring sentient to the Sumerian slaves? What were they just pissed at the human aliens that came here because they figured this was their planet? Because let's not forget, this planet was ruled by reptilians for 2,500,000 years. Or I'm sorry, 200 million years. I'm sorry. They ruled this planet. So it's a good chance that the reptilians had been here before, had probably stayed here before, maybe liked it here because there were so many reptiles running around on the planet. No one really knows, but we know they're not native from Earth, but we do know they've been here a lot longer. And I guess they were just pissed when they seen all them human-looking, fleshy, pink baggy things running around.
Especially with the fact that they lived so long. I mean, they probably look at us like flies, like how a fly has a 24-hour lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do look at us like flies. The Greys' lifespans go up into the millions, but both the reptilians and the humans go at least a few 100,000 years before they have to have a new body. And so, I mean, and us, we're going to get there, and God knows when, but within 100 years, the average lifespan of this planet will be over 100 years old.
So, I kind of want to go back a little bit to that Christianish topic, because I was thinking the other day about the good old Lou Elizondo, and how he mentioned in a previous interview he had before about, if Christians were to find out the truth, they'd be pretty upset. So I wanted to know what he meant by that. Like, I really want to know what it is that he's trying to imply.
He's trying to imply that aliens put us here.
Yeah, and I don't think it just applies just to that aspect. I mean, part of the reason why the U.S. government doesn't want things to get out is because they've done some things to acquire this technology that would be, tantamount to things worse than Hitler did.
That's true. I hate this. That's definitely true.
Unfortunately true, but yes.
they did. Oh, sorry, I went to the wrong place. They definitely did some stuff that you have to kind of wonder what the bleep.
I definitely wonder what the bleep.
But then you have to remember there's been stuff done to them that you'd have to go with the bleep. So, the humans have been being experimented on for quite some time. I hate to use the word experiment because it's a true statement, but it doesn't necessarily fit. It only fits those 10 years or 12 years in the middle. It doesn't really fit the whole thing that they're doing here. I mean, the Greys, do whatever they're doing. And even they, from what I understand, from the amount of contactees that have been coming in lately, have been lightening up even what they do through the puberty time. At some point, it has to come to a point where you can only experiment on so much, and there's nothing left to do. And they've been doing this for anywhere from 100,000 to 10,000 years. So obviously, they're running out of things to do.
Well, or obviously, whatever their outcome is supposed to be, whatever they're looking for, they haven't acquired yet. And perhaps when they do acquire it, what would they need with the rest of us?
Well, they always talk about the Holocaust dream, the mass kill-off. So we can't ever let that slip out the back of our minds because that's always there.
What if that was just a fear tactic? What if we've just been being sold this, grand scale fear tactic? Like, oh my God, in 30 years, half the population's going to be wiped out. Prepare for it. Go buy everything you need. Go build a bunker under your house.
But see, that's not what this is. The government don't say that. The government thinks we're going to live and be around for hundreds of millions of years. The only people you hear even talk about it is only in the contactee community and only the ones that have the Holocaust dreams. Nobody else even talks about it. None of the regular contactees talk about it. Society's not talking about it other than crazy Putin trying to kill us. Nobody else is talking about this. You only hear this inside the contactee community, and they're adamant about it. That 1/3 or 28%, they're very adamant about it.
I believe Phil Schneider said, I quote, they're going to wipe out 5/16 to 7/8 of the Earth's population by 2030.
It's just, and we're going so fast by 2030. If there's not a wipeout, we'll be close to 10 billion. So even if you wiped out that many, it's still ain't going to set you, just keep you the way you are right now. It's a strange thing. The Holocaust dream always freaks me out because I never know whether to take it 100% seriously or just put it in the back of my head as something that somehow or another all these contactees are seeing the same damn thing. And they don't ever give. I love it because they give you identical descriptions, which none of this has been made public, but a little tiny bit. But they give it to you like from different cities, like from Chicago or Illinois or Washington, D.C. And when they describe these cities, they're definitely in the future because when they talk about the cars being shaped and looking different, some of them seem to have these fold that would look like hover things on them, which is some kind of a hover car, some type of, finally maybe the George Jetson cars will be here. They talk about that kind of stuff. They talk about everywhere you go, there's AI greeting you when you walk into a store. It'll say, hello, whoever you are. And whatever the last thing you purchased was, it will ask you, was your purchase satisfactory or are you still looking to shop and what else can it help you with? This is just following you around, Wayne. So it's like a little thing that just stays with you.
It sounds like Fallout 4. It sounds like the bots in Fallout 4.
It sounds like a controlled prison, actually, if you have like AI
but nobody's around
everywhere.
So they tell you when they drive
Fallout 4.
Well, they're driving down the city. All the lights are working. All the building sign lights are on. All the cars are parked neatly. There's no dead people in the buildings or anything. The buildings are all functional. Everything seems to be going on. And then there's no rampaging fires or anything through the cities. And the guy said they tried to start a fire to warm their head, and something came out of nowhere and blew it out like some kind of weird drone and sprayed someone and put it out. Sound like some out of freaking Star Trek. And but it doesn't sound like to me more than 100. It doesn't even sound like that. It could be anywhere from 50 to 200 years, but it doesn't sound like that far in the future. I could be wrong. It could be further.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Mm-hmm.
Are either of you able to say whether or not you're afraid of death? Like, are you afraid of the process of passing from whatever realm this is to whatever
I'm sure
realm
when it happens, I will be.
comes next, if there is one?
Yeah, at the time it happens, I can't say for sure. Right now, I'm not. I think I've led a pretty cool life. Some cool things have happened. So I wouldn't be dissatisfied if it happened tomorrow like that. Just as long as it's not really painful. So I just want to go nice and peaceful and calm. I don't want to be like tied up to machines and like, have tubes running in and out of me. I want to go to bed and then not wake up, so
Yeah, well,
that's how one of my great uncles went. So that's what I'm hoping for.
well, it's weird because I remember I was 45, 46, and I woke up one morning kind of lightheaded and dizzy. I'm like, what the hell is this about? And didn't pay no attention. Went to work that day, and all day long that day we had been toting up 5-gallon buckets of tar up a 30-foot ladder all day. And next day I woke up and did it again. I'm like, what the fuck? I said, well, you know what? I'm going to see my doctor and see. I go and see my doctor. He gives me every effing test there is. Your blood pressure's perfect. I don't know what to tell you. And then right before he left, he goes, you know what? I want you to go to EJ and have them run some tests on you at the hospital. I was like, what? So he called them. So I went over there and they run. I spent 3 days and they get every test you can think of. And he goes, I don't know, Joe. Maybe it was just a fluke. Everything looks good. I said, all right, so I'm going to go home. So I'm getting ready to walk out the door. I mean, I'm literally signing the paperwork. And the nurse comes in and said, hold on, doctor wants to talk to you. I'm like, I figured he'd give me a prescription or something. He said, oh, you know what? We didn't do a stress test. Let's go do a stress test. I'm like, okay, doc. So I get on the treadmill. I'm going at it. I'm having a good old
They
time.
make you sweat.
I wasn't even breaking a sweat. I wasn't even breaking wind. And all of a sudden I hear the doctor, the nurse say, sit down. You got a problem. I said, what do you mean sit down? She said, sit your ass down. Do you need some nitro? I'm like, what? She said, sit down. And she pulls out the emergency kit and sets it on the ground. I'm like, what the hell? So here comes my doctor out of nowhere. I don't even know where he was. He looks at things. He said, oh, man. He said, I don't even know how you're still alive. He said, you've got a right artery that's at least 99% close. He said, your body must self-regulate in a way I've just never seen before. He said, you are just so fucking lucky. He told everybody in my family that was there, after he was putting the stent in, he said he would not have made it till Christmas. This was Halloween.
Wow.
He said he was not have made it till Christmas. I'm like, so that was mortality slapping me in the face. That was the first time that really just like, wow, I could have died. What the bleep? But I never felt like I was in danger. That's the stupid part. I'm thinking I'm like one of them dumb ants walking around an ant farm, man. Jesus. But it was definitely a reality waker up for me. I was kind of like, okay.
Did you have to get some type of like bypass surgery or anything?
No,
like
they
that?
did it. They put it down. Would have in the old days, but we got stents now. He just went in. This was the funny part. He goes in the next morning, cuts you in the groin, puts his hose up there. Now they cut you in the wrist, but back then he did it. Puts the stent in, takes everything out. Next morning says, you can go back to work. I'm like, what? He said, yeah.
Wow.
Go back there. I said, doc, can I still have sex? He said, yeah, you can have all that. You're good. Go. He said, you're like 100% now. He said,
that was an angioplasty, which is a similar thing. They put a catheter through one of the veins or arteries. When it gets there, it's got a balloon and opens up the vein or artery, whichever spot.
That's what it is. It just opens up like that, and it presses into the side. They put you on Plavix and other stuff for a while to until it sets. Now I've been having it for 15 years, so that's 15 years of life I got more than I wouldn't have had.
So you still have the stent?
Oh, it's there for life. It ain't coming out.
Wow.
And it's like blood pressure medicine. Once you get that, you're stuck.
Well, actually, my doctor told me, he said when I get back to my regular weight, he said he'd take me off of most of my blood pressure medicine. He said,
so it's weight based. If I get to like 120, 130, 135, 40, I could probably drop to 1.
He told me, well, I'm only on metoprolol, which is they gave me that when I got the stent. It took my heartbeat. This is what makes it hard for me to lose weight. So your heartbeat runs around 80, 90 beats a minute. Well, metoprolol knocks off 20 beats. It knocks it down to 60. So, steadily going along.
Yeah, I take that once a day too.
All my friends said, well, you've mellowed since you've taken it. I said, bitch, don't get me started now. Don't get me up to that 80 beats. I'll slap you. And then just recently he had put me on Lorastatin, but he said, you're not going to really need it. So, but they keep you on cholesterol medicine just because I got the stent. But him and I worked that out too, because cholesterol medicine's nasty bitch. So we finally figured out what does the trick and doesn't make me feel sore and stuff afterwards. So But no, he told me more than likely if he said every time I drop 10 pounds, my pressure adjusts itself. He said so. Last time I dropped 10, he's like, I went from 270 to 250. He was like, you don't need this strong of a dose. I'm gonna put you on 25 now. He said, drop another 20. He said, you'll probably be off of this one. But they're never going to take me off some metoprolol because, they don't, even with the stent being sealed in real good now, they still, make you work twice as hard. That's all.
Yeah.
But it also means you get to do a lot more stuff. Glenn, no, it's true.
When you were heavier, or when you were eating, I guess, when you were exhibiting more unhealthy behaviors,
you mean eating my way through COVID? Yes, you're not going to hurt my feelings.
Would you say that your overall mentality was in a lower vibrational state as well?
That's funny because most of the time I don't pay attention to weight because I'm just who I am. And my personality doesn't really change whether I'm 270 or 210. It tends to stay the same.
Well, I guess not necessarily weight. Like weight doesn't have a factor. I'm talking about habits.
Well, no, even carrying a lot of extra weight will make some people depressed, especially when you start changing clothes size. It makes a lot of people depressed. Fortunately, if I look good, skinny, or fat, I'm lucky. But it's hard. It's hard on a lot of people. It's harder on women. Well, I don't want to say that because men have a hard time with it too.
Yeah, but I think women have a higher rate of heart attack death than men. Isn't that right?
Yeah, they do actually. And heart attack is the number one killer for both men and women. By far, nothing comes close to it. It's just they kill a cardiac. And it's something in today's world, I hate to say it like this, that can be prevented. If you see your cardiologist regularly and you get a little lightheaded and dizzy, you go see him, he gives you a stent, that's it. And people, it hates to be, I know it sucks to be mortal, but in the old days, if they had stents, there's going to be a lot more people alive on this planet. And I personally know a lot of people who are alive because my mom had to get 4. My aunt got 3. She got 1 that's this long in her neck. And you couldn't see how far I got the camera off, but it was 4 inches long. She had to have put in her neck.
Yeah, why aren't you using the camera today?
Because I knocked out a front tooth yesterday.
No, you did not.
I most certainly did.
See, show us all.
He was misusing a hammer and.
Actually, I was sucking on a stupid ass pop, Tootsie Roll pop. And I caught it, and I broke it right. And I'm going to get it fixed tomorrow. But
let me see. I want to see.
You weren't doing the owl thing. 1, 2, 3.
No. I wish I'd have been doing something stupid. And this is like 2:00 in the morning. So I'm just sitting there watching TV, just sucking on this thing, and I don't know what it did. I must have bit down and pulled at the same time, and it went click. I was like, well, you got to be a bleeping no good.
Was it your actual tooth, or was it like a crown?
No, it was the tooth in the very front.
Whoa, I want to see, Joe.
You're going to get to see. I'll take a picture and let you see it.
My front one is chipped right here.
I
got to get it fixed. See?
It's all right. We're scaring out the damn guests now. I mean, if people watching now, I'm going, wait, what is this?
Maybe that's why we're here. Aliens don't have teeth.
We're not going to.
One is for our teeth and plastic.
Yeah, do they eat? Do gray aliens even have a mouth to eat?
So this is what's weird about
they have a rudimentary mouth, but no, they eat through osmosis through their skin. They also absorb excrement through their skin.
They do have teeth, so at one time or another, they did eat like we did.
It's more of a ridge plate now. I thought like certain like.
Oh no, they got So the littler ones have these. It's like one tooth, but it's kind of jagged up and down. So it's you can't see. It's like an inch wide and it's jagged. I've heard quite a few contactees talk about it, but it's not. But you can tell because they don't eat like that. We know they absorb that plasma. And that's how they feed themselves. And I imagine there's other things they absorb too, but that's what we know they absorb is the blue plasma.
According to Phil Snyder, they absorb adrenaline from our adrenal glands for.
They can absorb anything. I would imagine.
Do you think that has anything at all to do with the plasma that is in our blood?
Well, they have a blue plasma that the ship actually grows or creates. They use the word grows because it reproduces itself. So it's a fuel for the ship and food for the Greys. Plus, they use it to immerse humans in to help you regenerate. Like if you had a hard time with abduction or
Yeah.
something's been going really crappy in your life, it helps you to rejuvenate. They'll stick you in it.
It's literally like Star Wars baptism fluid.
No, that reminds me of that one dream I had where I was like, take me to my mother, and they took me to this room that was like a control room with wires and lights and cables and computer looking stuff, and in the middle of the room was a glass like casket or something, an incubator with a bright green woman with bright red hair, like she was like emerald green, and she had bright ruby red hair, and she was in a blue goo, like it was like a clearish blue goo.
Yeah, they put you in it, it regenerates, does all kind of stuff, and it's not just us. They get other aliens use it, and the Greys use it for food, but I mean other aliens use it for other
use it
things.
for healing too, I think. But you could liken it to the sarcophagus from Stargate SG-1 TV show. That when someone gets killed, they throw them in this thing if they're nearby one, and all the evil gods, the Goa'uld, use it to keep alive for millions of years. But it allegedly caused insanity. I don't know if the blue goo causes insanity, but
you know what's funny about the plasma stuff is when you listen to people, they'll say they're scared when they go in it because they immerse the whole body in it, but you can still breathe because you're under the stuff and you're thinking I'm going to suffocate, but you can't because you're just breathing. And they said for the most part, once they relax, it gives them a euphoric sense. They start to feel better. Their body starts to relax.
They kind of sort of touch on that in Fire in the Sky when the actor doing Travis Walton is all covered in that like eggy slime stuff.
Yeah, I know whoever did what was that 10 episode series Taken, whoever did Taken actually must have met with some contactees, because there were certain things like the way the Greys ran up the walls, because the Greys love doing that. They love going up the side of the walls on top. So if you're in a Grey ship, it's weird. The walls and the ceilings just kind of go like this. So to them, the walls, floors, and ceiling are all the same to the Greys. They don't distinguish between them like we do. So we have to have a floor, a ceiling, and walls. They don't. It's all the same damn thing to them.
Is that because we live in a 3-dimensional?
More than likely it is.
Or maybe because they're more inclined to travel through outer space. So up, down, left, right has no bearing.
Like Ender's Game.
Exactly. And then when they have the floaty laser tag game, yes, exactly like that.
I'm going to be interviewing the writer of Ender's Game in 2 weeks.
Worse than Scott Card? Cool.
Yes, on Scott Card. He's also one of the teachers on the Writers of the Futures course, if anybody takes it.
I feel like I should do something for that. I really do. I feel like I could make some really cool stories based off of the dreams I've had.
So know this. I'll do the whole spiel for you. So you can submit 4 times a year, no more than 17,000 words. The average story is probably 6,000 or 7,000 words. So if you win,
PG-13.
They fly for wherever you are. They fly you into Los Angeles, put you in either the Roosevelt or Lowe's Hotel, because that's the two they use. Right there in Hollywood, you're in Hollywood. You get to hobnob with all the big famous people. You get to spend 5 days, depending on if you win as an illustrator or as a writer, with the top writers in the country or in the world for that matter. When you look at their writers list, I mean, the names are on this list are unbelievable who they have on here. Every major sci-fi movie is represented. Even Dune is represented. And Frank Herbert actually was one of the founding judges, but his son's one of the judges, and him and Kevin Anderson do all kind of writing together.
They wrote the prequel Dune series.
We've got the guy who wrote the Caribbean books there. Actually, he didn't write the Caribbean books. He wrote Stranger Tide, which is what all 4 books are based on. So he wrote one book as one story, and they took the one story and made it into 4 movies.
Well, it's also based on the ride at Disneyland.
So they decided that they finally just gave the guy credit for it. It was Tim Powers, by the way. They finally gave him credit for it, and whatever he's going to get out of it financially, maybe 5% of the whole franchise. I would set you up for pretty much for life.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about anything.
I'm just shooting numbers out there. I have no idea. And you got a bunch of people there that are famous, and then of course the illustrator core. I mean, these are the people who work for everybody. Tom has worked for Disney, Reddit, YouTube, Marvel, you name it. He's done work for. So most of the ones who are judges there, and then there's Frank Frazetta, which can you see? Let me see. Oh, hold on. Let me turn this cam on for a minute. Where is start cam? Okay. That picture in that corner stand back there, that is from Frank Frazetta.
Yeah.
Original, signed and numbered, and it's from Battlefield Earth.
Cool.
So it's one of those pictures. What's that, Carl? Oh, that one right there. That is a stern wheeler sinking in the swamp.
Nice.
And the picture to the right of it is the streetcar named Desire.
I love that movie, by the way, Streetcar.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's what you mean behind me? You mean
It's
over
because
here? Oh
I
yeah, I
had
bet
a
you
thing
want
for
that.
Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando. I like Marlon Brando. Is that
He's
what you're
good
referring
most
to?
stuff.
Marlon Brando's Streetcar Named Desire?
He's Marlon was good in a lot of stuff. Not in everything, but in a lot of stuff. What are you talking about?
There he is.
And watch this. Oh, and there he goes. Look at that.
Aliens got him.
Anyway, an anchors always have to wear ties. Did you know that? So if you're anchoring a network, you got to wear a tie. It's so I'm one of 3 anchors on the network. So
Well, is that
Michelle's not going to wear a tie? Who wrote that shit? Get out of here! You know what? I got to see her tonight. I'm going to ask Michelle. Audience wants you to wear a tie when you're anchoring. Actually, I'll be on her show tomorrow night. I'm glad we brought that up. I will be on the Outer Realm tomorrow night from 8 to 10 with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Why did I say Soprano? That was weird.
Yeah,
we'll be over there talking about all
Pisano. It's you got dyslexia there. You got it backwards.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about why aliens like Leah so much. That's one of the topics. And what do you mean she tastes good? What the hell are you talking about? Why would toss you out your rumper comments like that? Oh, you mean like a Snickers bar? We're not even going there. Oh my God.
that's scary.
That is scary. I'm with you. That's why he's not allowed in our chat room. No, really, I will be there tomorrow night if y'all want to come hang out and get in trouble. And Michelle is way meaner than I am. Well, I am sweet and innocent compared to her. You see how I said that? I didn't say I was just sweet and innocent. I said compared to her, I was sweet and innocent.
To Amelia?
Amelia's an angel.
What about Michelle?
Michelle is the demon. So if you ever see the picture, I don't have him here anymore, but there's a series done by anyway, he did for Mardi Gras posters. It's the angel and the devil. So there's pictures of both of them. There'll be like the woman who's a devil, the angel, and then sometimes he'll be a devil and she'll be an angel, or she'll be a demon, he'll be an angel. Anyway, he did a whole series for like 10 years of Larry Harris. Did them. They're really great pictures and sold really well.
See, Amelia is also famous for doing all kinds of delicious food porn on Facebook.
Yeah. Food porn, bitch. Are you listening, you food porner? Oh my God, she's a food porn. Yeah, I said something the other day. I said, she just loves that porn. And somebody said, Amelia loves porn. I'm like, yeah, she just loves it. He's like, Joe. I'm like, we're talking about food porn, people. Calm down. They're like, food porn? What the hell is that? Is that? I said, no, it's not what you think it is. It's just constant pictures of food.
Good pictures of good food.
Yeah,
it's not like blurry either.
She's a good cook too. So she had a good kitchen to cook in. So I've seen her kitchen before. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Even though she is. So this is great. I don't know where I got it. I'm going to go find this. So I used to pick on Amelia all the time about her being an alien, right? So I said, take a picture. I want to see you take a picture, look at something, take a picture of yourself. So she took a picture. And in the corner of the TV picture is this little weird looking alien thing. I was like, I knew it. I knew you was a freaking alien. I got it. It's a great picture because it makes it all of a sudden the whole screen goes like this. And you could tell because the TV was off. This alien thing in the screen. I was like, oh, you are busted. She's like, no. I said, oh, yeah, I got it somewhere. I kept it. It's somewhere in one of these files, and many, many millions of files I got on this computer. I'll find it just so I can play it again. It's hilarious though. Gene, well, so we talked about panspermia, and we kind of talked a little bit about God. Well, God could have created this. I mean, whoever God is, or whatever God is. So let's not forget the universe itself can be sentient.
And if you look at ancient texts, it was multiple gods. So it's not just one species, if you will. At least 2 species have interfered or interacted with our genetics since what? 200 million years ago?
Yes. So, but I mean, no, yeah, I know. I know what you're saying, Cliff. All those gods got pushed into one God. Well, that's true. Technically, it's kind of true since there's 1,001 religions that represent at least 3 gods. Well, you got all the Christians, and they believe in their God, and
which is
frankly,
also
the
split into
Jews,
two parts, which is kind of strange.
and frankly, the Jews and Muslims' God is pretty much the same as the Christian. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but it is pretty much the same God.
It's all
I
the
mean,
same God.
So that's what I'm saying. It's so.
The books have similar stories, even though they might change the names and they say, "Oh, they're not the same," but they are. They
But it is
They
basically the
use
same
their
God.
own
a new leash as
language.
well.
Like they have their own region of the world that it originate. Their stories are popularized in, and so I mean, language barriers create different translations, create different versions.
Yeah, that's the Babylon story there. Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever got smacked by a sister in school. She smacked me right in the mouth.
Are you talking about like a nun?
Yeah, I got smacked by nuns all the time.
Yeah, on 3 times in my life, I had to go to Catholic school. So my mom and dad just thought it was effing funny.
Me too, until like 8th grade.
Well, I was in for 2nd and 3rd. They kicked me out in 3rd grade for beating up a 5th grader. So that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that. So I just looked up the teacher. So I'm confused. I said, I know y'all said 6,000 years. I said, but science teaches us that, you know, the universe is this old. And I said, well, was God just lazy and didn't want to create nothing until recently created man? And she just reached up and popped me right in the mouth. Didn't even give me a chance to even do anything. Just reached up and popped me right in the mouth.
That's a really honest and valid question, though.
Yes. Oh, the one that got me in the most trouble, I got like 15 licks on my hand, is where did God come from?
Wow.
I was like, and their answer was always the same thing. It's all based, it's faith. You take this as faith. I was like,
no, that is a valid question.
I said, but science says no, it's all about faith. And I understand faith. I mean, you know, faith can get you a long ways, really.
But this, you know, we're also advancing as humans as time goes. We're allowed to question things because that's how our brains
But is it we that are advancing, or are we being accelerated to advancement for some purpose?
Well, I think it's both. And
yeah,
you know
I
what?
agree.
I honestly think that there's a lot of people who are bred in a way to be more advanced. Like they're offered more opportunities. They're streamlined, so to say. Certain, careers or certain you know.
But you see, they're probably not the ones that are going to be the useful ones when the time comes. So let's look at this a little bit differently. So when time comes and the world's all shit's going to burn, everything's burning in flame, who do you want standing next to you? The corporate executive or me to buy you, boy? I can tell you right off the bat who you want standing next to you. Yeah, ain't the corporate executive, because his money ain't going to mean diddly squat when the time comes.
For sure. You know, I feel like a lot of that is, you know, they want their underground bases and their underground bunkers, and they want to go buy another whole planet to shoot themselves off to because, you know.
Don't be talking about my boy crush now. Badly. Oh, people, we're talking about Elon Musk. Calm down if anybody gets upset.
Isn't Elon Musk one of the ones that's kind of like on Putin's side in a way?
No, he's actually stated if Putin shoots any missiles, he's going to drop his satellites in front of him and blow them up.
Okay, good.
So Elon's. Let's look at Elon for a few minutes because he might have been the guy that created her. So Elon, you look at Elon, he looks at Putin this way. Look, Mr. Putin, I want to do business with you. You need to end the Ukraine war, but I'll help you this way and this way. But, and then Putin comes out a couple of days later and says, well, I may launch missiles. And Elon says, really? He said, my satellites can knock your missiles out of the sky all day long. And he said, remember, I can produce satellites much faster than you can produce missiles. And come on, who's got the best rockets ever? That's me. He's like, you can't touch him when it comes to that kind of war. Russia can't win that. The only thing Russia can hope for is short-range cruise missiles with low-yield nukes on them because they can't carry heavy-yield nukes. So his basically Elon took Russia and China's ballistic missiles off the shelf. He just basically said, you know what? They're useless. Let's not talk about them anymore.
So would you say Elon is one of our biggest defensive allies then?
He is. How can I say this without sounding like an ass? He is his biggest defensive ally. Don't get me wrong. Elon loves America. He's glad to be here, even though he's the richest. No, he's the richest African American in the world. By the way, Jimmy. Yeah, I've seen that comment. He is the richest African American in the world. One of my black friends got mad at me the other day. He's not African American. I said he was born and raised in South Africa, my friend. He's an African. I said he
Hey,
might
but
be not the right
a
color,
lot,
but
though.
he's
That
an
says a
African.
lot about his upbringing based on how South Africa developed.
Oh, when you hear about his dad, who is oh my God, and his mom is he loves his mom to death, but she's a bit on the whack side too. You kind of get a sense of what you think of the guy. He don't even own a house. He stays at his friends and stuff. He just travels and stays at this place and that place and this place and that place and this place. And the only house I think he had, he sold, and one in LA when he decided not to build the thing into the city anymore. He's this guy's put neurochips in people's heads. He's going to build a mace on Mars. He's going to allow you to control. They're already the first guy they put it in. He's paraplegic. He's already controlling his computer's mouse and the computer by thought. No sound needed. No hands needed. He's controlling.
So can he type? Like, can he type out words and paragraphs and stuff?
Yeah, anything he thinks will come up on the screen.
Okay, how do you control that? How do you not think of like things you shouldn't think about?
Yeah,
that's like everything. It's the same way you think of not shitting them out your mouth. That's the same way.
Yeah, you gotta have that same filter in there, otherwise, you know.
In other words, when you look at your friend and you think, "What a moron!" Is it going to come out on the computer? Yes, what a moron! I wasn't thinking about you. I was thinking about.
Yeah, think of how much more trouble Trump would get into if he had that interface, you know, because he doesn't have that filter.
Yeah. He would definitely be in trouble. I mean, he's the newest Edison, newest Benjamin Franklin, newest Einstein, newest Tesla.
He's the newest scientific entrepreneur.
He wants to see the world change. He wants us to all to be happy, healthy, and have fun. And he wants to build a colony on Mars because he don't trust humans not to blow themselves up. That's his own work. And we need a colony. It's less likely that we'll kill each other if we do have a colony. It's more likely that we'll kill ourselves if we don't. It's a weird thing, but they just recently did a big study on it. And,
well, unless he does that 007 Drax thing where he's launches people.
I'm worried about that too.
Trying to kill everybody.
In the back of my head, I'm always worried about he might be the bad guy. He might be setting things around the planet, wait until he gets his place on Mars, and poof goes the dragon. Well, so look at it this way. He's going to be the god that creates the population. You know that, right, guys? So we were talking about gods and, gods and extraterrestrials. He's actually an extraterrestrial. So he's going to be an extraterrestrial god that creates life on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
I mean, if they get the colony going and people are actually able to, function and reproduce on the planet, they'll be making aliens.
So his goal is by in the next 10 years to have his 50 ships up, his 150 ships up and running back and forth with his spare ones. And before then, he already wants to start sending stuff that doesn't come back, that just goes there and unfolds and does whatever it's going to do.
Yeah.
Right now, they're looking for best place for colony sites on Mars. So I still don't know why we're not going inside Olympus Mons. I would think that would be the most protected place on Mars right now is inside Olympus Mons. I mean, it's not an active volcano, and it's huge. And asteroids and meteorites can crack into it and probably not do that much damage to it. So, and I imagine there's hollow spots all over inside of it. So it'd be much easier to close it up and fill it up with oxygen and start building.
So we still don't know what it was geologically. Was it at one point a volcano and it's now dead? Is it,
Yeah, they say it's dead now. I mean, we have never really, been at the base of it, but they say it's dead. It hasn't showed any kind of activity at all. But just recently, they've had some activity on Mars that suggests that something is still alive. Maybe the core is still heated. So remember, we've always thought the core of Mars was dead, but they're thinking it might not be as dead as we thought it was.
Did you see that picture recently? I don't know if it was what took the picture of Mars, but it looked like these giant trenches that were dug out of the surface of Mars.
There is a canyon. I can't remember what it's called, but it's more like a lightning strike. Some sort of electrical event happened that dug a canyon so deep and so wide. I think you could put 50,000 Grand Canyons along the length of it. But yeah, that's on there.
The Marina Valley, is that what it's called? Not
Something
100.
like that.
It's something like that, though. What's that, Glenda? I think it is a Maverick, but you can look it up and see. It's the biggest. So Mars is weird. It's not the biggest planet by far, but it has the biggest.
Yeah, it's called the Valles Marineris.
Yeah.
I guess it's Valley of Ocean.
So it's got the biggest. It's got the biggest valley in the solar system that we know of, and the biggest volcano. But yet it's what is it? 2/3 the size of Earth.
What about the whole theory that Mars used to be like where all the humans lived and whatnot, and it was destroyed, and that's why we were brought here?
Well, the story goes with Tiamat, that's the fifth planet that is now the asteroid belt, was struck by one of the moons of Nibiru on its way through the inner solar planets, and then that caused a catastrophe with Mars's atmosphere, and allegedly whatever life was there fled with the Anunnaki's help to Earth.
So this was kind of like a safety boat, like a safety raft, this planet.
Well, their planet kind of caused the tragedy, so again, whether they felt obligated to help or they needed the genetic material, I don't know.
Coming in here.
But that's a working theory. Velikovsky believed that as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Our planet's an interesting place, and it does look like there is some evidence to suggest that we may have ancestry from Mars. The scientists hate to talk about. I got into it with a group of psychologists. God, this was 18 years ago, and I had wrote a little paper about humans sharing some of the qualities that would probably be in Mars, like our average global temperature is 10 degrees. The best temperature for humans to live in is 10 degrees cooler than the average temperature on this planet. But it's not. It would have been the same temperature on Mars 55 million years ago. Also, our biological clocks are set to 24.25 hour day. Earth is 23.75 of an hour. So obviously we're not from this planet. That's why I always give all my friends who believe in Gaia so much shit. I'm like, guys, did you ever think that we don't belong to Gaia? We come from Mars, our ancestry. So Gaia is thinking, what the bleep are you doing on my planet, you stupid humans? Why don't you get off my planet?
Well, what if we come
And
from
one day
multiple
she might
planets?
serve eviction on all of y'all. What was that, Leah?
What if it was really like how they say men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and we don't just come from Mars, we come from like other planets too?
It is alleged that Venus, Earth, Mars, and what is now the asteroid belt would have all had atmospheres and running water or liquid water.
The 5 planets were supposed to be friendly and together, and nobody knows. No one can figure out if there was a war that started it all, or if there was just something that came through and shattered the 5th planet, which also killed the other 3. So we know that the things that killed Venus, Mars, and Earth came from the asteroid belt. We know that now. So the point is, was it a planet when it actually killed all 3? So all 4 planets probably died at the same time. We were just the one that came back the fastest. The first one couldn't come back because it was destroyed. Venus, it's got a big atmosphere, but it's a long ways from getting back to being cool again.
Yeah, it also may not even be native to our solar system because it rotates backwards.
And you know what's funny about that? The aliens may have captured that.
Yeah.
So they may have captured that planet and brought it in here. It may have been passed through our solar system and they may have captured it, which suggested something else. More than likely what killed the 5th planet was the tug between Jupiter and Mars. Being where it was located is probably what destroyed it. But it could have been a rogue asteroid belt. It could have been something rogue. But at first, they always said that, oh no, the planet never developed. And then they started finding minerals that could only be formed under a certain type of pressure, like a planet developing. So they had to retract their statement. I mean, science is usually wrong more than it's right, but good science goes back and corrects itself, whereas poor science just tries to play it off with some bullshit so they can get their next grant. People, science is money now. That's why the nerds are king.
Yeah, but the impact theory makes a little more sense because there is certain areas when we go through parts of that asteroid belt that are still showering into our orbit. So we go through that same orbital path once a year, and we get struck with meteors.
Yeah,
if it was a tug between Mars and Jupiter, I think Jupiter would have won that, and the asteroids would be going the other direction, not coming to our orbit, but heading into Jupiter's orbit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, something probably came along, something big, maybe some size of Mars, something hit it, and that was it. They couldn't do anything about it. And when it went, it took everybody else with it. Because there's no doubt that Mars, Venus, and Earth died from a meteorite strike, a large one. And think about the one that hit Mars is what created Olympus Mons. I mean, when you look at Olympus Mons and you flip the planet over, there's a strike right underneath it, a big one. It's probably what killed the planet.
Yeah,
all the matter out of Mars. Mars is probably just now getting stuff built back up in it again.
I think the suspicion on the creation of it was that the meteorite or the meteor or whatever it was hit on the other side of the planet and pushed Olympus Mons upward.
That's what it did. And you can see it if you grab Mars by Olympus Mons and just flip it straight over, there is a big, huge crater on the other side, right where Olympus Mons would line up on the other side. So something definitely.
So it looks like something went all the way through the planet.
I don't know if it went all the way through, but it went in far enough that it made all the other stuff push out the other side.
Like an exit wound.
Like an exit.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Like a big freaking fat pimple is what it was. And it's just and they don't even argue about that. I mean, because it's the most plausible explanation for what happened. Venus, we don't know because we can't find any strikes because Venus is so geologically active that the planet's turning ever over. I think they said every 1,000 years it completely returns the top of the surface of the planet over. Here, even though we see some, there's a lot we don't see here either because the planet's so geologically active. I mean, the Yucatan Peninsula, we found that one, and that's what we think is responsible for the dinosaurs 50, 60 million years ago. And that's the same time Mars went dead. That's what's so weird. I mean, these three planets went dead around the same time. So there was definitely a catastrophic event in this solar system that probably had something to do with the fifth planet, which killed the other three planets. Mm-hmm. Earth was just the first one to recover. And all the aliens that lived on these other three planets probably were advanced enough that they left. And at the beginning, nobody could come here because whoever was here, I would bet you that the reptilians and even some of the humans and maybe some of the Greys even probably had colonies on this planet pre-humans. It would explain some of the out-of-place artifacts we find. That there were little colonies around the planet, not so much that we were advanced, but there was these other people here. I mean, they were in our solar system. Earth didn't have inhabitable life like they did, and they probably started looking at our planet.
And then we may have recovered faster than the other planets because of their assistance.
Yeah, and I bet you that's why we did. Because when you listen to the rumors about Atlantis, it sounds like an advanced city, and it sounds like it was in the middle of the Pacific. I mean, the middle of the Atlantic, where it sank and gave birth to both the Egyptian Empire and the Toltec Empire. Mm-hmm. It's just. What do you mean? The Toltecs are the fathers of the Mayans, the Incans, and the Aztecs,
and the Olmecs.
And the Olmecs, that's true. And you mean the Nazcans? They could be the fathers of the Nazcans too, but the Nazcans weren't advanced city builders like the other four races we're talking about. The Toltecs were interesting. I mean, all of them were interesting. The Nazcans were interesting too. That's who built the Nazcan lines. Yeah, and that's the ones who boarded their children's heads to look like the gods' heads, which happened to look like the human aliens. So when I first heard that story, I always thought it was the Greys. And I finally got to see one of the skulls, and I realized it was the human aliens and not the Greys.
Yeah,
Grey skulls are like
Anunnaki.
But the human skulls look like ours from the front, but they're longer than ours. They're deeper than ours. Probably.
I mean, isn't that also kind of what the Egyptian headdresses represented?
Well, yeah. So think about this. We know of at least 4 pharaohs that had a head like that. There's a disease that causes that. But they don't think it was disease. If you're looking back as an alien hunter, that was probably a shared DNA.
And you're thinking specifically of Akhenaten and Tutankhamun, his son, and I think both of their wives. And I think Tutankhamun's wife was actually his sister.
Yeah.
So they're thinking that these were maybe not total aliens, but at least shared some alien DNA.
Or some kind of hybrid, yeah.
Yeah. So, and they might have been aliens. I just... one of them I think was an alien because when I remember him describing his height, and they kept saying I forgot how they described it by hands, but it came out to about 7'3", 7'5". There wasn't no Egyptian back then, no 7'5". So that was probably some type of alien, or maybe just been part of the hybrid blood. I mean, We don't know because we weren't there, but there definitely seems to be throughout our history intervention by someone or something. Who it was, what it was. I mean, we can argue and guess all night long, and we got some good information, but we still can't prove it was.
We don't have all the facts, the whole story. So there's too many holes in it.
Daryl, you mean Daryl Sims? Daryl Sims schools. Daryl and I have met many times. We've agreed, we've argued, we've debated, we've done all sorts of shit together. We sat out in Stevensville, got drunk together looking for the UFO in Stevensville. No, the only thing Stephen, you mean Daryl, the only thing him and I really disagreed on was he told me one day the aliens stopped picking it up for a particular reason. And I said, that's not true. They've got your son and your grandson. They don't need to pick you up anymore. He got mad at me. He stayed mad at me for a little while. Then I seen him at a conference somewhere. I was doing a lecture. And he walked up to me. He said, John, I apologize. You're probably right. And it's true. The reason he thought because he was being mean, and that was made him stop. They didn't give a shit. They just knock your ass out. You don't even remember. You can fight all you want. Next thing you know, you're sleeping like a baby with no recollection of what happened to you. So I just wanted to let him know. I mean, they had his son and his grandson. Why do they need him? And somebody asked me that day, do you think they get you all the time? I said, they got my son. What do they need me for? But I some people get picked up for different reasons. The ones who are communicators or keepers of stuff like this. Me, no, I wouldn't know what an alien was if it slapped me in the face. Yeah, no, I don't even believe in aliens. No, Well, except for Leah, because she's definitely an alien.
I don't know what I am, dude. I don't think
Jay might be an alien too, so.
I do
It's
not.
possible we are all aliens.
You know where you belong. Don't worry, Elon's going to get you home soon enough.
I sure hope so, because this world really scares me. I don't find it to be habitable. That's all. I mean, I don't know how everyone else does it, but I just can't relate. I don't know what to say. I don't watch sports, but game shows or watch TV or listen to the radio or any of those things that normal people do. I don't even like to eat food. I mean, I like food, but if I didn't have to eat, I wouldn't. It's weird.
I think a lot of people skip that if they could.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's foods that I love, but if I didn't have to eat, I wouldn't, because I think it's weird.
And that may be an argument for some of why the aliens are so long-lived, because they absorb their nutrients through the skin rather than chew or eat or have internal organs to process it. It just goes straight into their bloodstream.
Well, I think there's a big advantage to that osmosis. I mean, really, just lay out in a tank, chill out, absorb your food. So I imagine for them too, just like it does for us, so they're absorbing it as food. It's also cleansing their body, helping them regain strength, rejuvenating their body at the same time.
Yeah, it might regenerate wounds or broken bones and that kind of thing.
So I imagine that. Randy, I'll answer this. We got a few minutes. So a 4-foot gray who might weigh 90 pounds could lift me and Jay and Leah up with one arm and toss us probably 150 feet. They are so much stronger than we are. It's not even funny. They can grab a 250-pound man like a potato sack and take off with him up the wall. And it's been seen on more than one occasion. They're just very, one, they don't have bones. Wherever they came from, they developed in a way that they didn't. That's why I always thought they came from Mars, because they have cartilage and not bones. Their bodies are designed differently, like low G, low light environment, and Mars is both. It's a low G, low light environment.
The shark native to this planet is mostly of all cartilage. The only bone in its entire body is the jaw, where its teeth are, and they are of the strongest creatures on the planet. Their bite strength is like enough to sever a human in one swipe. You're gone.
Well, more than likely, the reptilians or the humans came from Venus. Everybody always says the reptilians come from Draco, but it's just a colony. It's actually a big-ass colony. There's 5 planets, I think, in that colony.
It's probably their nearest colony to us, which is why they say that.
But from what I've been told, both by contactees and government people, their home world is way, way, way. Matter of fact, if the stories are true, they had come looking for their home world looks a lot like ours did, say, 50 million years ago, 60 million years ago. They came looking for another one to colonize like ours. They found Draco on the way to Earth. They had actually found Earth with a probe and were coming here. And from what we understand, they had successful colonies here for quite some time. That's why people think they live on the ground, because some of them probably went on the ground. Some of them probably left when they knew the rock was coming. They probably had time to know the rock was coming. It's not like us, where we're only, monitoring this one piece of the sky. They're monitoring the whole damn sky. Mm-hmm. Besides, they were probably present at the event when it happened. So they had whatever time. In other words, they probably seen the rock that was going to kill the big planet coming long before it did, which gave them time to move out. Now, to answer your question, Quasar, a 5G planet that had life on it would be much more powerful than we are. They would be a little squattier than we are, but they would definitely have the strength of at least 6 times the strength of ours. They lift a car with no problem. They will be
just like if we went to the moon and there were people there, we could toss them around like they were, sacks of flour.
We would be Superman up there. It's you don't remember seeing who was it? One of them grabbed the side of the rover and lifted it up on the side. That rover ain't exactly light, guys. It looks like it is.
It's pushing 3,000, 4,000 pounds.
So it's one of those things that, when you look at it, well, I mean, one day this will be us. I mean, nobody wants to be in deep space right now because we're dangerous. So let's say that America,
we're dangerous to ourselves, not just outer space itself.
Let's say America figures out faster than light travel. So we start colonizing and going out in the stars. Well, either Russia or China is going to steal it from us one way or another, or we're going to sell it to them. Somebody in our government's going to sell it to them. So they won't be far behind. So what happens when we bring our political environment to a new world? Are we going to make people start choosing who they're going to side with on new worlds? That doesn't sound like a good way to start out. And I would imagine any advanced world we run into is going to be a united world anyway. You can't really reach certain advancements not being united.
Yeah.
So the world can keep its countries, but it has to give up its militaries and become one real world. One military, that's it. One, not even a real military, just big enough to police anything that goes crazy. No need for nukes. Just think of the $5 trillion a year spent in military being spent on, well, green stuff or health stuff. This planet, education. Everybody would end up living 150, 200 years in no time at all. Johnson & Johnson already has the way to stop your telomeres from aging. They've already figured that out. They talked about that in 2016 or 2015.
Isn't that company owned by Bill Gates?
I don't think. I'd have to check. I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know. Last I heard they weren't, but I'm not going to.
Isn't Johnson? I thought Johnson & Johnson was a Bill Gates company.
It was nah, I don't know. I have to look and see. Alexa, who owns Johnson & Johnson?
Johnson & Johnson is a publicly traded company owned by many individual shareholders and other large investment companies. Johnson & Johnson's CEO, Rita Joaquin. Rita Joaquin's their current. Yeah, they're owned by a bunch of people.
Yeah, ask them if Johnson & Johnson is if Bill Gates is one of the shareholders.
Alexa, is Bill Gates one of the shareholders at Johnson & Johnson? Don't have a cardiac now.
It doesn't want to answer.
So it's like the Magic 8 Ball. Ask again later.
Oh, yes. She said something, but I didn't hear. Alexa, does Bill Gates own part of Johnson & Johnson? I should have asked somebody share. Oh, she said she don't know that. Alexa, how many shares does Bill Gates own in Johnson & Johnson? I don't know. Amazon's going to call me and want a piece of the action here, man. I can see it as much as we put her on the radio now. Were you using her again? It's last I had heard, they were pretty well diversified because when I was looking to buy some stock a while back when I actually had some money, they were on a very diversified list, meaning there was a lot of owners. So I think it's one of the things that, you know what? It's one of the reasons we didn't end up with RNA from Johnson & Johnson. We ended up with traditional vaccine from them. They're not in all this trouble that these RNA researchers are now. What we like to call the new cancer virus. So Pfizer and Moderna used the RNA research, the CRISPR research, and Masters and Johnson didn't. They used traditional research. Smart on their part.
Well, I don't know. I could be wrong.
It doesn't matter. I mean, there's so many other owners. It wouldn't matter if he owned part of it or not. He wouldn't have controlling interest. There's too many owners.
There's something about Bill Gates, man. I don't know what to
Well, he
say.
owns a lot of stuff. What you got to worry about with Bill Gates is he owns a lot of the farmland. Alexa, how many acres of farmland does Bill Gates own?
According to an Alexa certificate, Bill Gates owns 242,000 acres of farmland.
You heard that? 242,000 acres of farmland here.
Wow.
Probably
Alex Gorski, it seems, is the major shareholder of Johnson & Johnson.
Who?
Alex Gorski.
Oh.
Not even freaking American, owning part of an American company.
Well, one of the weirdest things that caught me off guard about Bill Gates was one of these, it was like a speech he gave in front of a big crowd of people, like not really a TED Talk kind of thing, but it was a seminar or something. And it was about, I think, sewage plants or something, like sewage treatment plants that they were trying to develop for underdeveloped countries, like places in India that need better, sewage disposal and stuff. And he pulls out a jar of human feces just like out of his pocket.
Ew.
Yeah, it was almost like he carries it around with him.
Because he's a sick, you know what?
Anyways, that really threw me off about Bill Gates carrying around a jar of poop.
Johnny, you mean would I go with Elon to Mars? Mars is interesting for older people anyway, because if you go to Mars, you're going to live. You could be 70 and go to Mars. It'll probably add 20 years of life to you and de-age you a little bit because
less harsher environment, less radiation from the sun, less gravity.
Yeah,
less gravity. So all that gravity that pulls on your heart and muscles all the time won't be there.
Yeah, your high blood pressure might equalize out.
Yeah, it's
that movie Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey, where I'm pretty sure he goes to Mars or something, right? Or he goes somewhere and then he comes back and his daughter's like way older than him.
Oh, yeah.
That's time dilation, yeah.
Anytime you travel near the speed of light, it's what's going to happen. No, Johnny. So that's okay.
You don't even have to travel near the speed of light, Joe. When they were doing the tests for the lunar programs, they took was a dog or a monkey, I can't remember which, and they sent it up from Cape Canaveral, and they had a watch on the monkey that was synchronized to the watch on the ground. And when the dog or monkey, whatever it was, came back down, his watch was off by like 4 minutes.
Oh yeah, because as you travel further out, it's going to go. But so if you travel, if I remember, if it's half light speed and you travel, say, I think it's 10 years, 100 years will have passed here, and for every 10 years after that, 100 years. So if you're out there, say you got a round trip, it's 40 years. That's 800 years passed on this planet. I mean, you're not going to know anybody. Technologies aren't going to be the same. Matt, this is what's always bothered me about deep space travel. We're going to start sending out deep space things, probably freezing people or slow going ships and stuff like that. 100 years later, they're still going to be on their way to where they're going. All of a sudden, we're going to be passing them up with new technology. Well, hey, you need a ride? Guess what we invented while you were on your way here? Can we give you a ride to where you're going? It's and that's going to be the truth of it.
I don't know how we got here. I don't know how to even speculate on the way human beings or how we ended up here on this planet or what our origin is. But I think one of our overarching connections is, I think we're all kind of looking for love. We're all looking for what is true love, right? And that's something that goes back to the Bible too, where it says God is love. I think we're looking for God. We're looking for God and we're looking for love. Like it's one and the same thing. And I think that's what a lot of other species out in the galaxies are trying to figure out too. Like if God created all of us, he created all the other beings in the universe, in the multiverse, and they're probably just as confused. Some of them.
Well, think about this also. We talked about how the inner solar system was damaged and destroyed, perhaps by accident, perhaps by design, by aliens, and perhaps the Greys are here to make them fix it. And maybe the reason why we have so much strife and hatred on this planet is that we're not from here and we hate being here. We don't just subconsciously we hate it. It's not on our conscious mind. And then at some point there's going to be a repair on Mars, and Mars will get its atmosphere back, and they bring us back to Mars. Maybe our attitudes will change. Maybe our mentalities, maybe our biological clocks will be different. So that's something to consider.
It's what's that, Dean? Oh, we don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff we're going to have to look at when we get in space. I mean, first, we're going to talk about having children on Mars. We're not going to be able to do that without having some kind of 1G environment set up for them. It's going to be a tough thing, guys. It's not going to be an easy thing, but I have faith in our species that we'll work it out. I believe we'll just probably put up either in space or on the ground. We'll put up centrifugal force systems that keep a 1G environment. So if a woman's pregnant, she can spend her first 2 or 3 years there. And the kid can spend its first 8 or 9 years in there and going out on missions and stuff. And that way he'll develop at least fairly normally. But sooner or later, we're going to start seeing mutations on Mars. People who want to let their children see what happens to them if they're allowed to develop naturally on Mars. You're going to start seeing weird stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, there would be natural bacteria and biology on Mars if it was once alive that the biology we have on this planet made us mutate in certain ways to overcome those obstacles. There's going to be different obstacles on Mars. They may change. They may be different. They may be hairy. Mars people may wind up being like hairy gorillas.
Scary hairy gorillas at that.
Meat-eating gorillas.
It's it's going to be, there was an experiment done in space with chicks, and they let the chicks hatch, and when they were born, they didn't have feathers or feet. I mean, not feathers. They didn't have wings or feet because they had some kind of weird feather that had developed that would guide them around with a weird flap because they just hovered. They didn't have to be on the ground. They could do this thing that would push off air and it would push them up, and then it was more like a rudder than flaps. It was really weird. But they still developed and were still viable to be used in space, which means it would still lay eggs. It's just the shape of the chicken would be different, and you'd still be able to eat the chicken and the egg. It's a very strange thing, but we got to go, guys and girls. No, the Outer Realm is on. Miss Michelle DeRoche is on right now, and she's I think they're doing some trick where they're cutting the guy's legs off and beating him over the head with it. I'm not sure. Y'all might want to go check and see what that's about.
Nice.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, she's a sweetie pie. No, I will be on tomorrow night, so y'all can come check me out tomorrow night. I'll be wreaking havoc on their show like I always do. I'm always the guest who turns into being the host. I'm really bad about that. So be sure to come check us out and hang out. Say hi to Leah. Say hi to Jay. We'll be back with y'all on Friday. Getting in trouble. Lots of good stuff to talk about this Friday. We can talk about how great the economy is and how Joe Biden and all our liberal friends tell us the economy is the best it's been in 50 years. And
yeah, it's wonderful.
Build back better.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's why, and then they're going to explain why we think it's not. So we'll have to rebut on why they think we think it's not a good economy. One Kamala Harris said it's just because we're very uninformed. I'm like, really? So I wouldn't be considered.
I mean, all you got to do is look around. All you have to do is be observant. All you have to do is have eyeballs.
Or just go out and buy
that's pretty much the thing. All you got to really have is a pair of freaking eyeballs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyway, guys and girls, we got to go, and thank everyone hanging out with us. Remember, you're listening to UFO Undercover on United Public Radio. Coming up next is the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche at Amelia Pisano. I'll see y'all Thursday. I will see y'all Friday. And I will see y'all Saturday. Shit.
You're going to be busy, man.
I better get my damn teeth fixed. Anyway, that's good night. I'll see y'all.